And next, we're actually going to turn to John Bolton.
Someone closely related.
Yeah, used to work in the Trump administration. Just stepped down, or he kind of stepped down. Was fired a couple weeks back, and a lot of it was mostly based around claims with Iran and the disagreements there. But he actually came out for the first time this past week and spoke about, his time in the administration and, some of his opinions. And of course, for the most part, he was in agreement with Trump on a lot of things. But he actually was very outspoken about not being on the same page with this Ukraine call. He was very against it, advised against it, and, smart guy, I guess, for doing so there because of everything that's going on. Yeah, if it's kind of a no-brainer, you probably just shouldn't act that way.
Bolton's a weird guy, though.
The president. Bolton is a weird guy. But then the other thing that Bolton brought up that was interesting was North Korea. He has a disagreement with Trump on how he's handling North Korea. He said that he does not believe Kim Jong-un is going to give up the nuclear weapons program. He thinks they still have them and that they're actually more advanced than they've ever been, and that's why we aren't seeing as many tests, which, Trump claims that the lack of tests means that they're complying with us and what we want them to do. So it's interesting that he has a disagreement about this, and I don't know, from my side of things, I've always viewed it as good to talk with other foreign leaders, and I've always commended Trump on his willingness to meet with Kim Jong-un. Obviously, no other administration has gotten to that point. And I think talk is good, but on that same note, when you have a dangerous person in those talks, it could go bad. And maybe this is a side John Bolton's seeing that we aren't. So who knows there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand Bolton's idea behind this, because generally trying to at least have discussion with foreign countries and foreign leaders is your general number one goal.
Yeah.
You don't always want to be on the defense, right? That as Tulsi has been saying recently, just puts our military and combat soldiers in harm's way continuously, and B, economically, it doesn't help us to always be having to be on the defense of something like this happening with our military. It's going to keep adding money to that area of the government. So I don't know why he thinks this is the best option, or why he thinks what Trump's doing is not a good option. I think personally what Trump's doing, at least trying to have open discussion and conversation with him, and like you said, it's the first administration to do it, is at least it's where he needed to start. Now if it goes south, that's where you bring in defense mechanisms and the military possibly, but I don't get what Bolton was trying to get at. He's also a very military hungry bureaucrat, so.
Right, and I think that you bring up a good point with Tulsi, and she's been outspoken on this too. She actually had an interview with Fox a while back that they asked her thoughts on this whole North Korea thing, and she kind of said the same thing with, as far as, I think it's good to be willing to meet with foreign leaders and discuss these things. And she's obviously caught a lot of heat for doing this herself, so she defends it. But she did say in that interview, she said, if you want another government to follow what you're trying to get them to comply with, you have to demonstrate that you're going to follow through with this. And she said that this might be a problem with North Korea, because if you're North Korea, how are you going to trust that if you give up your nuclear weapons, we're going to follow through with all of our negotiations as well? Because in the past we haven't. We've told other countries the same thing, and then we don't follow through with
two-way street
aid, defense, whatever it is that we're promising that country in return. And Bolton actually made a comment, and I almost think it was by accident, but who knows? He said, when you ask for consistent behavior from others, you have to demonstrate it yourself. And it kind of falls in line with what Tulsi said, which is weird, and he's a weird guy, like Mama said. Because he's a warhead, and he's always looking to act in the offensive side. But this quote's almost contradicts what he's saying with not meeting with North Korea in the first place, because that puts off like the war heavy vibe. But who knows? Maybe he's in one issue he's got his head screwed on straight.
Maybe he was also just saying that we should show North Korea that we have just as many nukes ready to launch. Who knows? It's Bolton.
Yeah. Interesting